Ben Shapiro saw Superman. I also saw Superman. I ain't gonna give you no spoilers, don't worry. Other than Netanyahu getting dropped 300 feet into the ground. That was fucking hilarious. But, Superman is goated. This movie is super woke. Now, when I say super woke, I don't mean like they're fucking wearing keffiyehs and shouting free Palestine. But they're very on the nose about being a good man in times like this, right? And there's some rhetoric in the movie that is very anti-Israel and standing up for the oppressed rather than the oppressors. And clearly, Ben Shapiro's got a problem with this. What is this? Go to site. Someone in my chat, look at this. No, this is actually exactly what it's like right now online. It's people going, I like to help others in need versus MAGA going, that's communism! That's fucking incredible. Thank you for the quick design here. So, without further ado, let's watch Benjamin Shapiro, Israel cuck, fucking M Israel Chai to the last day, somehow have a problem with Clark Cussy, my super mussy, and his doggussy, Kryptonussy. And he's got a problem with just being a good man, I guess? Let's watch it. Let's watch it.
And that seems to be what the people are saying. People are generally liking the movie. They think it's fun. They think it's kind of a kick. David Corenswet is charming. He has good physical presence. I didn't mind him as Superman at all.
All right, that was kind of funny. See, the thing is, Ben isn't funny, but he must have one editor that is kind of funny.
Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane was fine. I thought she was great. I thought both of them had good chemistry. I thought all of that was fine.
They had such good chemistry. That's the thing. One of the big things about Henry Cavill is that he and Amy Adams had no sexual chemistry. They had no sexual tension. You know, Lois Lane and Clark Kent, they're supposed to be wanting to fuck like bunnies. I mean, dude, he's Superman. Superman!
Here is the analysis. So, my overall review of Superman. Superman is super meh. It's meh. Okay, so...
Fuck you.
All the people who are getting super exercised over the politics, and we'll get to the politics a little bit later on. I think that they are overestimating how much politics is in this. I think they're deliberately misinterpreting some of the politics that are in there. This is not a movie about illegal immigration. It's not a movie about ICE. Russia.
Oh, yeah, that's one thing. I did see somebody, there was like some liberal who wrote a whole article about how Superman is an immigrant story. And the thing is, this movie really isn't. It has nothing to do with immigrants. But Superman in and of itself, especially in the past, has been very immigrant. I mean, there's, first of all, I think in Smallville, there's a whole episode where Superman is trying to explain to his mom that he's an illegal immigrant. There's also another episode of Superman where they fight against ICE because ICE tries to get people out of a school. Like, Superman in and of itself is a immigrant story. But this movie really isn't. It really isn't.
Ukraine, Israel, the Palestinians. There may be references there if you have politics on the brain, but other than that, I really don't think that there's that much of this there. That is not my overall problem with the movie. My overall problem with the movie is that you are taking the most iconic American IP of all time, Superman, which is to be treated with a certain level of respect. That doesn't mean it has to be, grand mythology the way that Zack Snyder wants to do. Like, my standard for Superman is not Man of Steel. My standard for Superman movies is 1978 Richard Donner, the best version of Superman. It just is. Overall...
All right, Ben's not wrong there. That is probably the best depiction of Superman.
Here is my problem. James Gunn is the wrong director, writer, creator for this thing.
Oh, and you're a fucking failed Hollywood writer that got laughed out of Hollywood, bro. You got laughed out of Hollywood. That is why you do this, bro. Because you fucking wrote some fucking bullshit version of Young Sheldon that they thought was dog shit. What, are you gonna do better?
Saw Chewbacca on the cover of People magazine. I was like, oh my God.
He's just wrong for it. It's Guardians of the Galaxy with Superman in it. And so that
nowhere even close. It is nowhere even close to Guardians of the Galaxy.
means it's all kind of a mess. It's an overstuffed movie in every way. It's visual.
Oh my God, brother was just paid by Israel to criticize this movie. I unironically think this motherfucker has got a stack of hundreds underneath his silly little hat that is sent directly from Israel.
Overstuffed. In terms of plot, the plot holes are big enough to drive a truck through them. There are
What plot holes? I couldn't think of one!
character problems. And all of it is just kind of wrapped around this gauzy, fast-paced, jokey tone that doesn't mesh with Superman as central part of Americana, to me.
Oh, jokey tone doesn't work based on the fucking comic book? Brother, in the comic books, Superman loads all of the world's nuclear armaments into a burlap sack and starts going in a circle like he's gonna shot put, and he sends that shit into a fucking black hole. And you, oh, it's too jokey. Ah!
James Gunn's sensibility is always to be subversive. That is what he does. He does subversive in Guardians of the Galaxy, right? He takes a comic book movie and he turns it into sort of a potty-mouthed sitcom.
Don't drink fountain water, you idiot. That's disgusting.
And he does the same thing with Suicide Squad. He takes that same sensibility, and now he's doing that with Superman.
Superman robots, I thought I told you to keep an eye on him.
We feed the canine, but he is unruly. And he realizes we are not flesh and blood and couldn't, in our heart of hearts, care less whether he lives or dies.
And I get that after the interpretation of the Snyder
How is he getting that footage? Because, like, isn't that illegal?
verse is over serious, he's reversing himself into completely the opposite direction. But what that means is that he's constantly subverting everything.
I was raised with a dog that was my sister.
The very beginning of the movie, you are
Wait, what?
told that Superman is the most powerful metahuman, right? There's like a placard that says 30 years ago the metahumans arrived. 3
That's
years
not
ago,
true.
Superman emerged. 3 weeks ago, there was an invasion. And now 3 minutes ago, Superman's ass got kicked.
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
He's not very super.
That's the point, dog, is that being a superhero is not about your strength. It's about your will. I mean, fucking Batman is a superhero. He doesn't have a single power other than being rich. What the fuck are you talking? That's the whole goddamn point. And the movie does start like that. The movie starts with Superman getting his fucking ass beat to remind you that he's not unkillable. He's not unbeatable. He's just a Superman. Yes, he's a fucking alien, but he is as human as the rest of us.
He is not the Man of Steel. He is not invulnerable. He gets his ass kicked routinely. He gets locked up in a prison with a character who's making kryptonite out of his hands.
Sorry, what?
He's constantly in
How is that correct?
victim mode. Like Green Lantern has much more success in this movie. Mr. Terrific has much more success in this
Mr.
movie
Terrific's
than
great.
Superman. Superman's parents from Krypton, if you're going to go through
Wait,
the
did
mythology.
he just say who?
Victim mode. Like Green Lantern has much more success in this movie. Mr. Terrific has much more success in this movie than
See where it says, all right, yeah, no, that's all I needed to know. All right, Ben Shapiro doesn't know fucking anything about DC Comics or the Justice League. How do you not know who Mr. fucking Terrific is?
Superman. Superman's parents from Krypton, if you're going to go through the mythology, send him to Earth so that he can be a moral guide for people on Earth using his great powers to stop evil from happening to them. In this movie, his parents from Krypton send him there. This is the big revelation of the movie. His parents send him there.
All right, spoiler. Spoiler. I'll give you a couple seconds to mute your thing if you don't want it. Spoiler.
To dominate the life on Earth as an alien invasion, essentially, and to create a harem of Earth women to have his many babies.
Well, sign me up.
So immediately you're
What? That's not a joke you should be making, dog. The fuck?
taking the expectation of what you know about his Krypton parents and flipping it on its head. His parents, Ma and Pa Kent, in the original, they are noble and they are wise. They're kind of salt of the earth.
Spoiler's over.
Here, they're basically kind of, I don't know, like down home types who don't seem to, they live in a kind of a crappy house. They're the kind of people who
Brother, you're talking about all of Middle America right now? Brother, you're a right-wing pundit, okay? You're a right-wing hack. Superman's parents are the very epitome of like good Southern or Midwestern people. Just like a ma and a pa on a fucking farm with some cows. How are you gonna... They look like they live in a poor fucking house. You are insulting your very base right now, dog. Do you know how many Southern people or Midwestern people see Superman's parents and go, oh, that's just like where I grew up. That's the same fucking thing. They're literally just farmers. How do you have a problem with this?
Call the TV the box. They're the kind of folks who are sitting around and you know, kind of scratching their butts. They're purposely cast as ugly and non-noble. Doesn't mean everything.
Yo, what the fuck is the matter with you, bro? They're purposely cast as ugly and non-noble? First of all, they're not ugly. They're totally normal-looking fucking people. Second of all, they're absolutely noble. Superman's dad has got his arm around him. He's telling him with tears in his eyes, I am so proud of you. I couldn't be more proud of you. You are a good man. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
Everything I say is bad. It isn't, but... And by the way, both of them are alive in this, right? The original Superman mythos is that Pa Kent dies, and that's what sends Superman on his journey. Anyway, Crypto, the super dog, is a terrible dog, is a dog that does not, like an idiot dog.
Oh my god, this motherfucker's about to shit on a dog. Ben Shapiro is about to just shit on a dog because a fictional dog, a fictional super dog.
Like, way worse than my dog, Happy. My dog, Happy, way better than this dog, and my dog makes trouble. This dog is a mess. Supergirl, who you get introduced to for a hot second at the very end, Supergirl is a drunken teenage brat.
Yes, and it's fucking hilarious.
Right, like, anything that you think you know about the Superman universe, James Gunn is determined to debunk in the first half hour of the film. I think that it's a betrayal of the original IP and mildly upsetting. Not like hugely upsetting, but mildly upsetting. That is my critique of James Gunn. He is not the right person for this film because James Gunn is not capable of delving, he's just not. He's not capable of delving into a single character and examining his motivations and what's interesting about that character. He can't do it with Superman. He can't do it with Lois. He can't do it with Lex. Instead, he decides he's just going to toss everything into the stew. And so you end up with this sort of ADHD film.
Bro, Hawk Girl was so hot, dude. Hawk Girl is so fucking hot!
Where a bunch of things are going on at the same time, but you never get a good, interesting perspective on anybody who's in the film. So Green Lantern is there, and he's kind of just a schmuck, and he's there as comic relief. And then you have Mr. Terrific, who's the actual hero of the film, who you learn nothing about other than he's just kind of a noble do-gooder fellow. And you have all these superheroes who are wandering around. You never get any information about them that makes them interesting or sympathetic or even particularly cool. But you don't know the motivations of any of the villains except for Lex, who it turns out is just really kind of jealous of Superman because Superman has superpowers, and Lex is like, I'm really smart, and Superman is really strong, so why do people like Superman more than they like me? Which is a pretty boring motivation, to be frank. So the characters are complete pastiches. They're just cardboard cutouts. Even the moments that are supposed to hit don't hit because there's so much going on in the background because James Gunn cannot control his ADHD. He just cannot.
I think he was pooping his brains out for the next 36 hours.
There's a scene where Clark and Lois, they've had a fight, and now they're back together, and they're having a talk. And it's supposed to be this very intimate talk where they're speaking with each other. And literally outside the window, Green Lantern and Mr. Terrific and Hawk Girl are fighting a gigantic sort of eye monster that looks like it's from Suicide Squad.
Yes, that's the point. Brother, you've never seen the comics. The point is that Superman is so goated that he doesn't even need to be involved, and also that the Justice League is so goated that Superman doesn't even need to be involved with everything, that something as minor as that dimensional monster that you would look at, they're setting the tone for the universe. For in this universe, something like that shows up and people don't really bat an eye because the Justice League, they'll handle it. It's called world building.
Right there, Joker. You'll never get me, brother. Will you catch him?
It's extremely distracting because he's James Gunn and everything has to be some sort of dumb joke. You're like, well, shouldn't Superman be doing something about it? No, let them handle it. Again, that's irritating. As far as the plot itself makes very little sense. The plot is basically that Lex Luthor has decided that he is going to make a deal with a foreign politician who the left wants to believe is both Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, but actually is just kind of nothing.
It's Benjamin Putin Yahoo. That's literally the bad guy in this movie is Benjamin Putin Yahoo.
Is going to invade another country, and Superman stops that invasion. Apparently, Lex wants to use this as an excuse to box up Superman, saying that he's running counter to American foreign policy. Now, we've seen that iteration in other movies, right? That was in Batman versus Superman. You've seen it in other versions of the Superman story, but it's not really taken kind of to its ultimate extreme politically. In any case, it turns out that what he really wants is to annex half of this separate country. He's going to split it with this other dictator. One major plot hole. Lex Luthor is obviously the smartest person in the film. So smart, he can create his own universes. Is a major plot point. And he is concerned about a relatively small piece of land occupied by third worlders. This is his big plan. And later it turns out that he said, oh, no, I started that war just so that I could get people to turn against Superman. Okay, well, he does that halfway through the film. And then he jails him, and then he leaves him alive and explains this secondary plan that apparently was his primary plan, sort of. But he doesn't kill Superman at the time for a reason that remains undisclosed.
We hear that he killed 27 children.
It's not undisclosed. He doesn't kill Superman because he literally says, he's like, well, we want to do experiments. We want to ask questions. We want to draw your DNA. Like, it's very clear for why they don't kill Superman. They want to study him.
Children, and you're always going to make mistakes, but that's how it is.
The entire plot is a complete mess. If you try to chart it, there's no way to do it because James Gunn doesn't care about plot. James Gunn doesn't care about characters. James Gunn cares about jokes and aesthetics. That's what James Gunn cares about.
Nobody cares anymore.
It's very difficult to make Clark a hero in a situation in which the plot is a complete mess. And again, that's not a rip on Nicholas Hoult, who I love in everything. I think he's great. Or David Corenswet or Rachel Brosnahan. That's a rip on James Gunn as a script writer. It's just not a good script.
Oh, the failed script writer turned right-wing hack. He doesn't think the script was very good, though. Oh, no. Oh, do you think you could have done better, Ben? Oh.
Okay, we'll get to more of this Superman review. This overlong.
We're not watching your fucking ad, bro. We're not watching your fucking ad.
Kind of gross and weird imagery, which doesn't really fit in the context of the, again, Americana that is Superman. And so there's some really gross and weird images, particularly in the Pocket universe, where you have characters who are turning themselves into weird tentacly octopuses, and you have people's eyes being attacked on a wide variety of it. He has an obsession with eyes, James Gunn, and you can see it in Suicide Squad. He has like an obsession with the eyeball being pierced, and it's very strange and off-putting. My wife was very off-put by a lot of this imagery. It feels like psychedelic LSD CGI vomit.
His problem is that the monster has armor, scales, and that the soft spot is its eyeball. Brother, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Is what it feels like for large portions of the film. You never really get a kinetic scene of Superman doing something cool. You have multiple scenes of giant heavy objects falling on Superman and Superman stopping the giant heavy objects from falling to save an individual. Again, another plot hole. You'll have giant building. The entire building will fall, and he will stop the building from falling to save one person or a chipmunk who is in the way. But
It's a squirrel! A chip. This motherfucker didn't pay attention. He saves a squirrel.
Entire building full of people, so presumably all those people are dead. In any case,
They evacuated the building. Dude, this motherfucker didn't watch the movie. This motherfucker did not watch the movie.
the visuals, I think, are a problem. The music, again, John Williams is still alive. Just hire him to do your Superman movie, you stupid. Just stop it.
Get some help.
I get very exercised. This is the only thing that really exercises me about this. John Williams, his original Superman score is one of the great scores in all of movie history. It is a phenomenal score, beginning to end. It may be John Williams' best score. I love that score so much. It is a great, great score. It is magic. And what do? They take the original theme and they play a few notes from it because it's so iconic.
So good.
And then they underscore it with nothing, with like a pedal tone. It sucks. The music is awful. The score is terrible. Just play the original score. The original score is good. The original score is magic. You feel the magic when Superman flies in the original score. Like, what are you doing? Okay, then we get to the actual politics. So I know this is what people are waiting for. They're waiting for my political rip on this film. So we've been told this is a movie about illegal immigration. Not really. Honestly, like you have to look to find that. There's one line where Clark is saying, aren't you going to read me my rights? James Gunn's politics is so ham-handed, like truly ham-handed, that it doesn't even read as political, it just reads as stupid. So there's a moment where Clark, he's being arrested, and he says, aren't you going to read me my rights? And one of the members of the government says, well, you're now considered an enemy alien, or you don't have any rights because you're not an American. All right. If that's supposed to be some sort of like anti-ICE sentiment, it's really weak. Also, legally incredibly stupid, considering that he came to Earth as a baby and then was adopted by an American family, which would make him American.
Oh, well, it wouldn't be according to Donald Trump now, would it? According to you and your side, Ben, no, he wouldn't. You want to get rid of birthright citizenship, and even so, he wasn't even born on U.S. soil. Ben, if you and your people had your way, you would deport Superman back to Krypton. You don't get to have Superman. He's not for you.
It was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
There's a suggestion that he says truth, justice, and the human way. I didn't catch that anywhere in the film. The sort of social media politics that social media is stupid and rigged by bots, which, I mean, I think everybody sort of agrees on at this point, and there's a really dumb visual joke where Lex has set up actual monkeys typing into computers as his bots. It's like, oh, God. But that's so
hilarious.
James Gunn. Again, it's all so... I just don't like James Gunn. I mean, just to be, and again, I'm one of the people who, when James Gunn was first fired from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise in July 2018 over bad old tweets, I actually defended him at the time. So it's not about like anything personal with James Gunn. I just don't like his movies very much. The other politics of the situation are supposedly this foreign policy thing. So the left is suggesting that the foreign policy conflict in which Superman engages is a stand-in for Israel and the Palestinians.
It's a blend of Israel and Russia. It's a blend of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and the Israel-Gaza genocide. Because the bad guy, they have a very heavy Russian accent. But he's physically designed a lot like Netanyahu. And then they're also an extremely technologically advanced country that is invading a country full of brown people that are essentially living in the desert, and they're hungry, and they're refugees, and they're poor, and they're primarily kids, and the bad guy soldiers are literally pointing their rifles at the heads of the children. It is very, very reminiscent of Israel.
Alternatively for Russia and Ukraine. So let me give you the geopolitical setup. The geopolitical setup here is that there is a country called Boravia, and this country called Boravia is run by essentially a corrupt dictator who's working with Lex Luthor, and it invades another sovereign country, Jarhanpur. Okay, and so Superman stops that at the very beginning. Okay, and doesn't show him stopping it. He talks to Lois Lane about it. Fine. Okay, the idea is geopolitically that Boravia has been a longtime ally of the United States. Jarhanpur is a country where we don't know who it's allied with. And it may or may not be run by jihadis, but we don't know. Like, we don't know who it's run by.
It may or may not be run by jihadis. There's not a single reference to anything Muslim in this movie. There is no... Other than the fact that they have brown skin and are being invaded. That is the craziest shit ever. That brother, you just see anybody getting shot at by white people and you go, must be jihadis. Must be jihadis.
It doesn't matter. The only reason that Clark stops it, that Superman stops it, is he says because
People were going to die.
Yeah.
which, as we'll get to in sort of my final breakdown of why this movie doesn't work and why no really good Superman movie has been made since '78.
What did he say?
I'll explain in a moment. The people of Jarhanpur are brown.
Look at my African-American over here.
The people of Boravia are white. Okay, so this is why the left is reading this as Israel, the Palestinians. The reason it doesn't work that way is because we are not made aware that the people of Jarhanpur are either wildly terrorism supportive, that they have participated in multiple terrorist attacks on the people of Boravia. They are led by a corrupt dictatorship that murders gay people, right? None of that's in the movie. So it doesn't match up that way. And the
brother is unironically on Lex Luthor's side. This guy is literally a member of Luthor Corp.
idea that Moravia is Israel in this iteration, like a longtime U.S. ally that's randomly invading countries for territorial gain. That does not match up to any of the facts on the ground that we know of at all. That is not real. So maybe in left-wing brain, that's how it reads. I could see if you're a left-winger and you don't know anything about the situation, or you think a bunch of false things, you could read that maybe. You could also read this as Russia-Ukraine because it's one sovereign country that's invading another sovereign country, and because the leader of Moravia has a Russian accent. So I guess that if you have like poison left brain.
The Russians are nuking us! Go! Go, go, go! We're all gonna die! Come on, come on! The missiles are coming! They've lost their mind! Go! Get to the gym!
But you certainly don't have to read it that way. And I'm not going to read it that way because it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense politically. It makes no sense. Okay, so this brings me to my final point about this movie and all other Superman movies. The fundamental flaw in all Superman movies of my lifetime is the thing that Hollywood cannot say and will not do.
Politics, does he still...
You mean welcome you into their fold? You mean lower their standards enough to let a dog shit failed screenwriter like Ben Shapiro into their secret cult? That's the one thing Hollywood has failed to do, right, Benny boy?
Still stand for truth, justice, all that stuff.
The only Superman movie that I have ever seen that uses truth, justice, and the American way is the original 1978 Superman.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
This is not just a throwaway line. It is deeply important to the character of Superman. Why? Well, because take Superman just as a character. Superman is unbelievably powerful, unstoppable. He's faster than anyone. He has X-ray and laser vision. He's stronger than anyone, right? He's basically a god on Earth, and the biggest god. He's Zeus, right? He can do whatever he wants. And so, why is he the good guy? Why isn't Lex Luthor right? Because, let's be real, if there were a person on Earth who actually had those powers, Americans would rightly be very much afraid of that.
Get that ugly motherfucker off my Superman.
Correctly. As Federalist 51 suggests, you need ambition to counteract ambition. If any one person had ultimate power, what you're really talking about is a philosopher king. And that's pretty scary because that person could be a dictator, simply doing whatever they want to the world. The only reason why Superman would be a hero as opposed to a villain is because he grew up in America, because he has the American way, right? He's emblematic of what America is. May blunder, may make mistakes, but overall stands for freedom and liberty and private property and free speech.
And
all
private property! And private... America stands for liberty, justice, and private property. What?
those things.
All that stuff.
Right? All the good American stuff. There's a great comic book called Superman Red Sun. It's an alternative universe in which Superman's capsule from Krypton lands in Soviet Russia. And he grows up as the emblem of Soviet Russia. And he's evil. Because
he's not even evil. He's not even evil in Red Sun. He's manipulated. He's not even fucking evil.
He grew up in Soviet Russia because if you give that power, that amount of power to an evil ideology, then evil ensues. So this is why it's really important. It's not just truth, justice, and the human way, or truth.
Dude, and in Superman Red Sun, the fact that Superman isn't in America makes America so evil in Superman Red Sun. That's the whole point, is that if America didn't have Superman, we would become vicious, violent monsters in the sole goal of destroying the one thing that is stronger than us. That's the point of Superman Red Sun.
Justice and all that good stuff. There's a specific definition of Americanism that says that this is why America, for example, should be a world power. Because America is better than other countries. And people who live in accordance with Americanism make the world better if they have more power. That's why America is good. Because otherwise, Superman is bad. And Lex Luthor is right, and we should restrict his power. And we should jail him. And we should check and balance him. And we should not let him be free. The problem is that Hollywood cannot say the American way because they don't believe in the American way. They don't believe that America is unique. They don't believe in these American basic values and principles and rights. They have a hard time, even with the idea that, like, the values of Ma and Pa Kent.
Brother, you were just shitting on Ma and Pa Kent. You were just saying that they are ugly and poor. That's what you just said.
Back on the farm are values that ought to be promulgated in the best of all possible circumstances. And so what they come away with in kind of the key moment in this movie, for example, is Pa Kent telling Clark that parents don't make missions for their kids, right? They don't make their kids kind of what they are. in terms of what they should be. They give kids the tools to choose what they want to be, and then those choices make those kids what they are. Okay, that's kind of half true and half not. Of course, you give your kids the tools to make choices in life, but you also try to define the mission your kid should have in life. That's maybe the most important thing you do.
Oh, so your children are gonna fucking hate you? Yeah, so your children are gonna fucking hate you. My parents never gave me a mission to complete. You know how much I would fucking resent them if they trained me instead of raised me? That's what you're arguing right now, that you should be training your children for your ulterior motive. That's the most selfish shit you could ever fucking imagine.
As a parent, direct them in a world of choices at what is the ultimate good, what is the ultimate goal. Hollywood is not run by people who believe that there is such a thing as an ultimate good or an ultimate goal. It's run by moral relativists who have a kind of, at best, soft-pedaled, generic, be nice attitude toward the world, which is why Superman's defense of intervening in this foreign conflict.
Yeah, Ben. Being kind is kind of an important thing. If you want to have a good life, if you want to build a safe world, if you want to be a good man, being kind is kind of an important thing. Caring about others around you, protecting those in need, standing up for what is right in face of overwhelming odds. That is what it means to be a Superman. What the fuck is the matter with the right? The right wing is unironically anti-Superman. I mean, dude, if I was a young kid that is falling for the right, the alt-right pipeline, and I see this and I go, wait, so in order to be a good man, I have to hate Superman now? I mean, I would be questioning fucking everything.
People were going to die.
Okay, well, people would die on the other side, presumably, if you didn't intervene. Or people die every day in conflicts all over the world. Right? The reason that Clark or Superman is supposed to intervene is because one side is right and one side is wrong. And unless you are willing to simply say that all foreign policy situations in which people die under any circumstances are equivalent, which I don't think is right, then you end up in this kind of weird generic place. The central question of Superman has never really been handled by any movie, and it's certainly not handled here, which is why should one person be given this much power? And the answer is he shouldn't, unless...
It's not about why should one person... He's not given the power. He was born with it. He can't control it. Well, he can refine it, but what the fuck?
He is essentially just a metaphor for what makes America awesome, which is what Superman was designed to be. This is why Superman in the original comics is punching Hitler. Because he is the American way and not the German way or the Soviet way or the Chinese way, which are different things.
Was that a Nazi version of Superman?
Because he is the American way and not the German way.
Holy fuck, that A goes so hard and his B so scary. The Flash as the SS. Dude, this is horrifying. This is nuts. What the fuck is this from?
Or the Soviet way, or the Chinese way.
That was really funny.
Which are different things. So, again, that is the fatal flaw, I think, for pretty much all Superman movies, but in this one specifically, they don't even bother with any of that. It's cotton candy. You'll watch it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll be like...
Bro, I would unironically watch, like, Nazi Superman. That sounds crazy. What fucking film? Is that on HBO? Because that's gotta go fucking crazy.
Maybe overcritical. You'll walk away. 2 days later, you won't be thinking about the movie. 2 hours later, you won't be thinking about the movie. Nothing.
Brother, I can't stop thinking about the fucking movie.
About the movie is gonna stick with you. The hero of the movie is the dog. Superman has to be saved multiple times by this, like, not particularly good dog.
Hey, that dog is a good boy. You can suck my dick, Ben Shapiro.
I mean, he's a good doggo, I suppose, but he really is badly behaved, this dog. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, my overall review, 2 out of 5 stars. Meh. I think that the stars do their best with bad material given to them by James Gunn.
The worms
Bro,
going into
this whole review reeks of jealousy and ineptitude. It reeks of a man who feels like he could have done better, but he was never given the opportunity, and now he's just jealous. That's what it's giving. You wish you were James Gunn, don't you? You fucking failed Hollywood screenwriter. Failed.
And helping him as he's sobbing, and he was it's kneeling at the end of the bed, and I was on the other side of the bed for that whole time.
Good job by David Corenswet. Good job by Rachel Brosnahan. Good job by Nicholas Hoult. Good job by Eddie Gathegi as Mr. Terrific. But Superman, as I say, super meh.
All right. what a fucking dog shit review. I'll give you my rating. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. And listen, this movie, Superman, at the end of the day, it's about being a good man. It's not about being a good American. It's not about patriotic values. It's about supporting your fellow human no matter where they are. That's why he stresses that whole line that people were going to die. He doesn't give a fuck where on the earth it is. People, innocent people, were going to die. So Superman steps in. It doesn't have to be as complicated as Ben is painting it out to be. And Ma and Pa Kent, they're just supposed to be average American farmers who raised a little baby. And they love him, and he's their son. Oh my God. Let's read some of the comments before we end this. This review was sponsored by Luther Corp. No, literally, bro. Ben Shapiro disliking a film is the highest praise it could possibly receive. Ben would definitely say Moravia had a right to defend itself. Literally, the first fucking thing Ben was saying was that we don't know if Jarhanpur had jihadists. This is how I know the movie was good. My 6-year-old looked at me after the movie and asked me to pip. Oh, God, that's going to make me cry. Oh, that's so cute. Fuck, man, I'm such a softie. Yeah, wait, so now Superman's against genocide? Who signed off on this radical idea? Ben also neglects to mention the fact that in this war, right, the leader of Moravia says about Jarhanpur, he says, we will not stop until we have soaked the streets with the blood of every last Jarhanpurian. That's genocide! He's not going over there, oh, because the blood, you can't really invade it. It's genocide! He's trying to stop a genocide! You got a problem with that? I bet you do, you Zionist fuck. I bet you do. What are you going to say next? You're going to say that Jarhanpur was promised to the Moravians 3,000 years ago? Baruch-Atah Adonai, motherfucker. Dude, like, suck my fat fucking dick. We're at the point now where these Zionist fucks are so infected by their Netanyahu brainworm that they can't even watch Superman without having a fucking problem with it. Ambaravia Kai, motherfucker. That's essentially the whole review, was Ambaravia Kai. Unfucking believable. All right. Listen, if you're watching this live, stay. We're going to keep going. If you're watching this pre-recorded on YouTube, hey, listen, I know we're not really talking politics today, but it is good to point out the fact that the right have to forsake everything in order to stay on the right. They have to forsake Superman. They have to forsake good values. They have to forsake the Constitution. They have to forsake everything in order to stay in the cult. They had to forsake the Epstein files. Listen, MAGA, if you really want to support Trump, you know what you got to do? You got to get on your knees and say, yes, sir, I don't care about the Epstein files anymore. You can't have both. You can either want the Epstein files or support Trump. You can't do both, little bitch. Anyway, I'm Chris Valenti. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It costs you nothing, and it helps me immensely. And also remember, this is real independent media. I'm not like the Daily Wire. I don't get millions of dollars of funding from the GOP or the DNC. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser, billionaire, foreign government. So if you do want to help me out financially, you can hit the thanks button below to drop a tip. You could buy merch. You could become a patron on Patreon. You could become a member on YouTube. And you can use that discount code for Ground News. Other than that, do me a favor. Click that video right there. It's a banger, I promise you. And I know bangers.